Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am Chandni Sarkar, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, Bankura University. Now, respected Registrar Sir, respected resource persons, and other dignitaries and colleagues and dear participants from all across India and abroad, I, on behalf of the Department of Education, Bankura University, welcome you all in this two-day international webinar titled Renegotiating and Educating Emotional Intelligence in Pandemic. We all are experiencing a highly critical and unstable phase of our life due to this COVID-19 pandemic. Every equation of life is constantly changing due to this pandemic situation, and balancing emotions for interpersonal and intrapersonal benefit has now become an extremely challenging task. As we know, emotional intelligence stands for the ability to perceive emotions, coordinate and understand it, and then manage and use it for problem solving. It helps us to deal with difficult situations, and also, unlike IQ, it is possible to improve emotional intelligence, provided if we know what to do. This international webinar attempts to discuss, educate, and spread the importance of emotional intelligence in this perturbed time. So once again, I warmly welcome you all in this endeavor of ours and hope it will be beneficial to you all. Please stay connected. The Honorable Vice Chancellor of Bankura University was supposed to inaugurate this webinar, but due to unavoidable circumstances, he is not present here with us. Instead, he will be with us tomorrow. So now this webinar will be inaugurated by our respected Registrar Sir, Dr. Shubir Kumar Roy. Dr. Shubir Kumar Roy is a Registrar and Associate Professor of Law with a demonstrated history of working in the higher education sector and is skilled in constitutional law, transitional justice, human rights, consumer matters, governance and policies, artificial intelligence, and public speaking. Dr. Roy is a prolific writer, and some of his articles are published from Delhi University, National Law School of India, University of Bangalore, National University of Juridical Science, Salt Lake, India, National Law University, Assam, Hasnuddin University, Indonesia, Brajawa University, Indonesia, Central West Publishing, Australia, etc. Dr. Roy has delivered several lectures as a resource person in different national and international seminars, which include Delhi University, Madras University, West Bengal Power Development Corporation, etc. Now, may I request Dr. Shubir Kumar Roy, the Registrar of Bankura University, to kindly inaugurate the webinar and deliver his speech. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Sarkar, for your nice introduction. The head of the department, Dr. Kartik Chandru Pramanik, all my colleagues in the Department of Education, all the respected resource persons, all the colleagues from the Bankura University, and the participants from the various disciplines, various areas, and my dear students. My heartfelt thanks, of course, goes to the Department of Education for organizing such a interesting webinar that is about the enhancing as well as to control the emotional intelligence. It's quite a very interesting area where lots of work is required to be done uh, kind of area which bridges with the education system, the ancient holistic education system, as well as the education system developed through the development of science and technology. So far my mind is concerned. The COVID-19 pandemic has posed the greatest challenge to the very survival and existence of the humankind since Second World War. The pandemic with its ugly face is tormenting the daily life pattern of human beings throughout the world, and we know that already it has stormed with social, political, economical and cultural changes. The world is facing the acute human crisis occurring from a virus about which our knowledge is really visibly poor. And still now we are incapable to accept the challenges thrown by this very tiny creature. The whole world is stunned with the devastating impact of this novel coronavirus. The outbreak of COVID-19 exposed the vulnerability of the poorest section of the society, their sufferings, and the inhuman wrongs being perpetrated on them. All the sectors, the economic, political, social, cultural, all the areas are being stamped by the impact of this virus. We can imagine of a new world order with changed philosophy of life inclining towards more humanistic approach in aftermath COVID-19 episode. The boring and disrespectful life in quarantine, isolation, and staying at home reminds us the basic tenets of the human beings. Being social creature, we cannot survive outside the society, and there lies the importance of the very emotional, the intelligence. During this period of lockdown and social distancing, we are madly feeling the urge and need for the company of our family members, our relatives, our neighbors, colleagues. People are longing for the company of the others, no matter known or unknown, to feel the trace their own existence and identity as a human being by sharing the warmth, ethos, pathos, and feeling of humanness with each other. People have learned about privacy during Industrial Revolution and felt the pain of isolated life in pandemic period of COVID-19. The practicalities of the caging life prompted us to revisit the prime philosophy of life, which teaches us that the aim of life cannot be the selfish survival, but to sacrifice the same for the sake of others, as nothing can be greater or important than the humanity. The sociologists, they are claiming that we are entering into a world of new sufferings and pain arising due to the initiation of the steps for staying away from the people, to break down or cut off the route of transmission, because we know that this virus is spreading by transmission from human to human. So this is needed to be observed, but at the same time, our basic tenets are at peril. But at the same time, we have to keep in our mind, we are finding the situation in Delhi where the outbreak of coronavirus is accelerating over there. So anyhow, we have to control our emotional feelings. Still, we have to maintain the protocol of the COVID. But it's the time to make discussion that how to improve the emotional intelligence, how to control the emotional intelligence. As I told, as I believe personally from the core of my heart, that there is needed to make a bridge in between the ancient holistic pattern of education system as well as the education system what we have developed from the urge of our own livelihood, our changing pattern of thinking, changing pattern of cognitive faculty. I do believe that we have to develop the potentiality what we have in order to find out the truth which is governing the whole universe. Perhaps my indication is towards the spiritual development too. I am sure that the resource persons are present over here. By their deliberations, they will enrich our cognitive faculty. They will certainly highlight the different aspects of the emotional intelligence, which is very important to make our own, to preserve our own existence like a human being. I am hereby I'm also declaring the opening of this deliberation with these words. Once again, thanks to the organizer for organizing such an interesting webinar, and at the same time, my gratefulness to all the resource persons who have agreed to give their valuable lectures in order to develop our own thinking. I am also grateful to all the participants for their association with this webinar, and I hope that the deliberation will certainly take the department as well as the university in its further development. Thanks to all of you. Over to Chandni Sarkar.
Thank you very much, sir, for your impeccable speech. Thank you. The patron of this webinar is Professor Kartik Chandra Pramanik, Professor and Head, Department of Education, Bankura University. Professor Pramanik has discharged different academic and administrative responsibilities in his 20 years long professional career, which started from the grassroots level of Indian education system, that is from school teaching, and reaches up to the level of university professor. He was the controller of examinations additional charge of Bankura University from 2016 to 18 and is at present discharging the duty of the Secretary additional charge of Council of Science and Arts of Undergraduate Studies of Bankura University. Now, may I request Professor Kartik Chandra Pramanik to kindly deliver the patron's address. Over to you, sir.
Am I audible? Chandni,
yes, sir. Yes, sir, you are perfectly audible.
Good morning to everybody. At the very beginning of my address, I would like to point out that this webinar was not possible without the constant support and encouragement of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir. We are very grateful to you. I also express my sincere gratitude to our Registrar, sir, for granting permission of this program and other supports. We have our keynote speaker, Professor Dulal Mukhopadhyay, among us. I'll welcome you, sir, and I hope your keynote address will be very helpful for our participants for understanding and utilizing emotional intelligence. I must mention that he is my teacher in the University of Kolani, so I hope that his speech will put me down memory lane of those bygone days of my university life. I also welcome our international speaker, Professor Emily Puig from University of Girona, Spain. It is a matter of pride to have him among us, and we are waiting for his significant observations related to the topic of the webinar. My heartiest welcome goes to the Professor Mrs. Gauramma IP, Professor and Head, Department of Education, Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar. Madam, it is a great pleasure to have you among us, and we are looking for your generous support in future endeavors of our department. We have among us Professor Nilanjana Sandal, former head of the Department of Psychology, Calcutta University. Apart from being a very senior and serious academic, she is also a practicing psychologist for the last 37 years. So, I consider her speech will definitely be very important for understanding the pandemic situation and will throw light on how to cope with it. Madam, we are really grateful to you as you have managed your valuable time from your busy schedule to be with us. Next person whom I will mention is Professor Bijan Sarkar, Department of Education, University of Kolani. How can I forget the immense help and significant inputs that he gave to us to organize this webinar? Sir, most humbly, we welcome you in this webinar and eagerly waiting for your valuable address in this program. I will not lengthen my speech further as we are all waiting for keynote address. But before I stop, I must mention my colleagues from my department and the team spirit that they have shown for this webinar. Special thanks are credited to Mrs. Chandni Sarkar, Assistant Professor of our department, though she is the newest member of our department. Yet she came forward to convene this webinar. Special thanks go to Mr. Sudeep Rai, System Analysis of Bankura University for his constant technical support. Lastly, this webinar was not possible without the presence of our students and participants from all across India and abroad. I welcome you all in this 2 days international webinar and hope with your support and active presence, the webinar will be a grand success. Over to Chandni.
Thank you very much, sir, for your excellent speech. Thank you. The keynote speaker of this webinar is Professor Dulal Mukhopadhyay. He was the former professor of education in Kolani University and Netaji Subhas Open University. He was also the member of Board of Studies of many universities of West Bengal and outside. He was a member of National Curriculum Framework 2005. He published many books, papers, articles in national and international books and journals, delivered many lectures in national and international seminars, and organized national and international seminars, workshops, and symposiums. Professor Mukhopadhyay is a gold medal recipient from Jadavpur University. He had supervised about 50 PhD scholars successfully and conducted more than 50 MPhil dissertations. We are extremely happy to have you here, sir. Now, may I request Professor Dulal Mukhopadhyay to deliver the keynote address. Over to you, sir. Sir, please unmute, sir. Hello, sir. স্যার আপনার মাইক্রোফোনটা মিউট করা আছে হ্যাঁ স্যার ইউ আর পারফেক্টলি অডিবল নাও
Respected Vice Chancellor, Bankura University, coordinator, organizers, participants. I'm very happy, feeling proud that the organizers have requested me to deliver the keynote address of the webinar. The topic of the webinar is negotiating is indeed an important topic because long pandemic situation has affected many of schools and colleges. Examinations have been postponed and now these have been conducted very quickly. And millions are locked out of the classroom. These has precipitated the shift to online education. Schools, colleges, technical institutes, universities, and even coaching centers have launched
12 কিলোমিটার এখনো দেরি আছে,
community
তবে 4 কিলোমিটার এসে
seamless resumption at the end of the lockdown. Millions of students across the country are logging into virtual classroom every day using a variety of platforms from Zoom to Google Meet. Assignments are done, submitted, and evaluated
জিজ্ঞাসা করবেন
online while
বলবো তো
examination have gone on. But the total experience
ওইখানে ম্যাপে দেখাচ্ছে না
students, particularly the school-going students, are suffering. The children are locked down in their homes since March.
এই যে কাকা
This has a very painful impact on their tender mind.
খুলে রাখ
They cannot go outside, they cannot play, they cannot meet with their friends and peers because they are locked in their home. They can only go outside when they are ill
কত বললো
and go to the doctor. In our sacred books, wise men of those days advised that man is disciplined and happy, who can prevail over the turmoil that springs from the desire and anger. Hear thou, the Bhagavad Gita, also there. In this pandemic situation, we will follow the above advice. Due to lockdown period, for a long time, people are emotionally disturbed. Some are out of service, daily laborers are out from their daily work. Small businessmen have to shut their business. Students are out of the school. Most of them have its emotional impact on their minds. So most of them are of average or high intelligence. If emotions can be balanced or regulated, then this can be averted. So, this can be averted and many problems can be solved. This pandemic situation can be avoided. Many of us are of the opinion that intelligent people can avoid many things in their lives. But research result tells us other things. Emotional intelligence is more important than intelligence in our daily lives. Then, what is emotion? Emotional, internal, conscious states that we infer in ourselves and others. So, emotions are private experiences. We use operational definition because we cannot actually see feelings. We infer observable behavior associated with it. Emotions are multidimensional in nature. It has more components: feeling, bodily arousal,
আর কোন জায়গাটা
social.
কোন জায়গাটা
Feeling component has the following properties:
Emotions are subjective, make us feel in a peculiar way, anger or joy,
এদিকে তো আবার জমজম
and personal significance in intensity and quality in mental process. Body arousals has the following properties: biological activation, automatic and hormonal
এই রাস্তা
behavior during motion, body is prepared for action, alert posture. Its purposive component has the following properties: its full directed force, motivation to take action, cope with emotion. People also benefit from emotion, social and evolutionary social expressive component. Emotion, communicative aspect, posture, gesture, visualization, facial expression, symbolic emotion, public, verbal and non-verbal communication, help us interpret situation, person reacts, the same
হাতিতে
way.
কত পটি করেছে
Emotionally, intelligent and intelligent behavior are not the same. According to experts, individuals with identical IQs differ very markedly with regard to their effective ability to cope with environment. It is not possible to account for more than 50% to 70%
কবে
of their interest.
রাত্রিবেলা ভালো ছিল কিন্তু
After all,
ওই তরকারি অত দরকার
intellectual factors
আপনার এক প্লেট দিয়ে পুরো প্লেট দিয়ে এক প্লেট দিয়ে
these leaves
হাফ প্লেট হাফ প্লেট দিয়ে অনেক হয়
of the
এক প্লেট দিয়ে
factors
হাফ প্লেট
again. It is suggested that these residual variants contribute to energy, impulsiveness, etc. Mayer and Salovey define emotional intelligence the following way. Emotional intelligence involves the ability to perceive, appraise, and express emotions, to access
এটাও কি
and or
রাজবাড়ির এলাকা
generate
হ্যাঁ
feelings when stop or uh, generate feelings when they facilitated thought to understand emotion and emotional knowledge and to regulate emotion to promote emotional intelligence growth. Some researchers show that IQ can help us to be successful to the extent of 20% only in life. The rest of 80% depends on our eating status. It is important to me for the important for others' salary, for others to working and personal relationship. According to Daniel Goleman, emotions are strongly impulsive that urge us to take immediate action. They are based on fundamental needs and neurologically designed to propel us into action without overtaking. Run from the tiger before considering options. Let us killed. There's nothing wrong with the feeling emotions. The problems arise when the emotions are out of tune with the situation and when we don't express our emotions. The human brain was built from up to down process. We essentially have two minds, a thinking one and feeling one. Our feeling mind is associative, categorical, absolutist, and individual, and it reacts to information before our thinking even gets us all information and had an opportunity to weigh out the distraction. Our feeling mind is more fully formed at birth, while our neocortex can learn, change, and adjust throughout our lives. Thus, emotional intelligence is a very important thing in our daily life, especially in this pandemic period and pandemic situation, especially from young learners. Emotional hijacking occurs when our limbic system receives the information first and responds with an emergency alert. This sends our body into panic mode and makes it more difficult for our neurocortex to control the action we take based on our emotional impulses. IQ is fixed. What we are born with is what remains throughout our lives. But emotional intelligence can be taught and learned. We have the ability to improve our emotional intelligence throughout our lives. There are two dimensions of emotion, psychological side and physiological side. I'm not going to discuss it all. This will be discussed in our seminar. Organizers have chosen several sub-themes for the webinar, which are all very important for the present situation, and I hope that the respected speakers will discuss this in detail, and it will help all the people affected by the lockdown situation. Thank you all again, and have a nice day and a bright future in the coming days. Thank you all. I've completed my presentation.
Thank you very much, sir, for your excellent speech. Thank you. Now, the technical session begins. Moving on to the presentations by the distinguished speakers. And this session is chaired by Professor Debobroto Devnath. He is presently working as a professor of education in the Department of Education, University of Gaur-Bango, India. Professor Devnath has guided 9 PhD scholars and 7 MPhil scholars so far and has written 12 books in education for both UG and PG level. He has also attended almost 40 national and international seminars and delivered speeches on various topics of education. More than 20 articles written by him have been published in many national and international journals. He is a member of various academic committees of inside and out of West Bengal. Apart from this, he was nominated as member of various committees of Government of West Bengal. His area of research interest are contemporary issues of education, modern trades of education, and various social issues related with education. Beside these academic part, Professor Devnath actively works for the development of the downtrodden part of the society, along with his students and scholars. Now may I request Professor Debobroto Devnath to take charge of this session. So over to you, sir. We are having some technical problem regarding the joining of our international speaker, Professor Emily Pugh. He is not able to join, so please stay with us. We are trying.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible, Chandni?
Yes, sir, you are perfectly audible.
Okay. My system was not supporting me while you have invited me to join with you. But luckily, I have resolved the problem. I think, as per your schedule, the technical session to start at 11:30 a.m. If I am not wrong, the session had to start at 11:30 a.m. But I don't know whether the speakers are here. Do they join us, Chandni?
Sir, actually, they are trying to join, and it's got a 10-minute prepone. The session has been, uh,
Okay.
but they are unable
So
to join, and they are trying.
I think we have to wait up to 11:30. If you may ask with your organizers, and I think as you have invited them to join us in the seminar at 11:30, so it is uh, why if you wait up for them up to 11:30.
Yes, sir, I'm waiting for him to join, and after he joins, I will knock you again.
Okay. Then you may postpone the webinar up to 11:30 now.
Okay, sir, I'm trying
But
to.
you may consult with your patron and HOD, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay.
We will start. There is a request to all the participants. We will start the webinar after 15 minutes. That's 11:30. We are having some problem in getting our speakers right now. So please stay with us. Stay connected. We will start again at 11:30. Stay with us. Thank you.
morning.
Welcome, Professor Emily Pugh, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning, Chadney.
Good morning, sir. Uh, um, our webinar is just a bit preponed by 10 minutes, so we are just getting it. Please
Okay.
stay connected.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Vancouver University, to invite me in this presentation. Thank you, Dr. Bijan Sarkar and Chatni Sarkar. It's a pleasure for me to collaborate with the West Bengal State University. I like Kolkata. I like West Bengal State. I visited many times. Ami Janina Bangla. Only a few words to survive in Kolkata. Rasta, Brishti, Brihospatibar, and the most important word in Kolkata, Acha Acha.
So even you know many words, or at least their meanings also. I don't know
No, I would
anything.
like to learn more Kolkata in the future, but it's a
Welcome, sir.
difficult challenger for me.
Welcome, sir. I'm just
Thank
getting
you.
back to you. Thank you, sir. I'm just getting back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I share my presentation.
Sir, after 10 minutes, sir. I'm just
After
getting on
10
a paper.
minutes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Sir,
I
I will
wait.
mop you. Okay, sir.
I try to share one moment.
Okay,
I
sir.
try to share.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Because sometimes I have difficult to share.
Yes, sir. I'm coming back. Please wait, sir, for a few minutes.
Do you see
Yes, I can
my?
see you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay. I wait.
Okay, sir.
Chani, do you see my presentation now about
Yes,
emotional edu? Yes?
yes, sir. Just after
Okay.
5 minutes, you will present, sir.
Yes,
I will
yes,
tell
yes.
you. Okay.
It's only to ask if you see
Yes,
correctly.
yes, I can see it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, may I request Professor Debobreto Devnath, sir? Sir, are you there?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I am here.
Sir,
Good morning, Professor. It's a
Good morning,
pleasure for
Professor.
me. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure for me to participate with us.
Okay, sir.
um,
Hello.
sir, hello, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
yes.
now will you start the
I have no
session?
problem.
Yes, sir. Then
I have no problem.
we have
Okay.
Professor Emily Pugh also with us. So
Okay, okay, okay. Then we may start the session, technical
yes,
session
sir.
one.
Yes,
So,
sir. The technical
very
session.
good morning to all of you, all of the present here. It is my proud privilege to chair the session of this today's international seminar organized by the Department of Education, Bankura University. And I am thankful to the organizer for providing me a chance to bear with you in this platform. And now we are going to start our technical session one of this today's international seminar. There are two speakers in this session. One is Professor Emily from Spain. He is already with us. And I think the second speaker, Professor Gauramma IP of RI Bhubaneswar. She is also with us. Now, I would like to request the convener, Mrs. Chandni Sarkar, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, Bankura University, to introduce Professor Emily in front of the audience, participants. Now, I'd like to request Chandni to introduce Ms. Professor Emily.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
It is a matter of privilege and pride to introduce our first eminent speaker, Professor Emily Puig Villaro, Department of Education and Psychology, University of Girona, Spain. He is an internationally reputed educationist and serving as Professor Associate, Faculty Education and Psychology from 2004 to present day in the Department of Pedagogy and of University of Girona, Spain. He is also the Professor of Social and Community Intervention 2006 to 2020 in the Department of Education in Institute of Montilivi, Girona. Professor Puig had his PhD on Education and Sustainability from the University of Girona and has his diploma in Catalan Philology and English language and also diploma in social education. He is an expert in emotional ecology. Professor Puig has a very illustrious career and serving in different institutions in Spain as an academician, educator, and professional trainer. He served as Professor of Secondary Education, as Director of Professional Training in the Montilivi Institution of Girona, as Coordinator and Head of Department, CFGS Education and Environmental Control in the Department of Education, Montilivi Institute of Girona, as Associate Professor of the Educational Psychology in the University of Girona, as Professor Coordinator, International Practicum, India, Kolkata, as Professor of the Master of Emotional Ecology, as Professor Tutor of Students in Certificate Pedagogical Aptitude in the University of Girona. There are many more in his credit. He is a well-known speaker in different seminars, conferences, and symposiums, and have a wide range of international publications. Now, may I kindly request Professor Emily Puig Villaro to deliver his lecture on emotional education in post-COVID-19 world, keys and challenges. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Channi. Thank you, Bankura University, for this opportunity. It's a pleasure to collaborate with West Bengal State Universities. The title of my conference is Emotional Education in Post-COVID-19 World, Keys and Challenges. We are living in times of significant global crisis and radical changes. In fact, we are experiencing a rapid transformation of planetary dimensions that easily disorient us. The COVID-19 health crisis has created a global collapse with much suffering and pain. When we overcome the health crisis, we will probably live in a very different world than the pre-coronavirus world, a VUCA world: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. The world in which we will live will change faster and faster. Hence, it becomes increasingly unpredictable and difficult to understand and complex about emotional point of view. This is a picture of VUCA: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. We will have to learn new habits in this new world. We will work differently. One example is the online. We will communicate differently. We will travel differently. We will relate differently. And also, we will educate ourselves differently too. These new habits, new change many aspects of our societies and the world. Let's see how such new habits will influence education. But in the first place, it's important to clarify some concepts about the emotional education and specifically about the emotional intelligence is. What is the emotional intelligence? In the book Emotional Intelligence, one of the most popular psychologists, Daniel Goleman, lays about 5 key components of emotional intelligence. Probably you know these 5 components. The number one is the self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to recognize and understand your own emotions is a critical part of emotional intelligence. The self-regulation emotional intelligence requires you, you to be able to regulate and manage your emotion. This doesn't mean putting emotion on lockdown and hiding your true feelings. It simply means waiting for the right time and place to express them. Self-regulation is all about expressing your emotions appropriately. The number 3 is the motivation. Intrinsic motivation also plays a key role in the emotional intelligence. People who are emotionally intelligent are motivated by things beyond external reward like fame, money, and recognition. They have a passion to fulfill their own inner needs and goals. The number 4 is empathy. Empathy, or the ability to understand how others are feeling, is absolutely important to emotional intelligence. And the last is the social skills. Being able to interact well with others is another important aspect of emotional intelligence. True emotional understanding involves more than just understanding your own emotions and those of others. You also need to be able to put this information to work in your daily interactions and communications. But another important question is, what will education be like after the health crisis of COVID-19? The number one is sure the digital education. Obviously, the first change will be that the education is more digital. In teaching and learning processes, online education will be much more important than before. before the coronavirus. There is the possibility of a paradigm shift. This will force us to rethink new methodologies and also new contents that also includes aspects of emotional intelligence. Number two is more flexible education. During the pandemic, it may not be possible to receive 100% face-to-face classes. Therefore, teachers and professors must be prepared to teach both face-to-face and digital students. Digitization will also lead us to a more flexible education, alternating and combining face-to-face times with no contact times. We must also include the aspects of emotional intelligence. Lifelong learning. Lifelong learning was important before the pandemic, but now its importance will increase significantly. Probably the course to take is to create courses and modules that allow learning and acquiring skills throughout life without forgetting the importance of motivation. More open and collaborative education. Education will be more open. We will have to learn to filter and select information from a sea of abundant sources, which are not always reliable. Education will be more collaborative. Then the possibilities of collaboration with many more people will be more and more important, and obviously also our level of social skills. What will be the change to address in this book world, in this new world after COVID-19? The challenger number one is the technological challenger. The digital divide separate and exclude many people. Governments must fight to guarantee equal opportunities and the rights to education, especially at the primary and secondary education levels. The challenger number two is development of a digital and social skills. During the process of digital transformation of education, it is of vital importance to ensure that people acquire the appropriate digital skills to carry out this transformation, but without forgetting emotional and social skills. New methodologies. In education, not only will teachers have to learn new tools, but more importantly, they will need to learn new methodologies that may include emotional intelligence factors. The last and probably the most important challenger is the inclusive. The inclusive. We must learn to develop more resilient and capable education systems to face situations of crisis, conflicts, social unrest, and natural disasters. The objective is to be able to guarantee that education is maintained in emergencies, conflict, and post-conflict situations. We are currently experiencing an enormous challenges of educational equity that can have important consequences in the life of vulnerable students on an psychological and emotional level, especially in the following four groups. Group number one, girls. Girls and adolescents girls are twice as likely to miss school in crisis situations. In addition, they are more vulnerable to problems such as domestic or gender violence when they are not in school. The group number two is refugees, displaced children, and migrants. These populations are often left out as the national policies may not necessarily include these vulnerable groups. The group number 3 is children and young people with disabilities. They need special educational attention that is often forget or not prioritized. They need special attention in the emotional abilities and in the social skills. And the group number 4 is the children and young affected by trauma or mental health problems. Schools are placed to help people with mental or emotional health problems and provides psychosocial support to the most vulnerable students to improve their well-being and development in order to learn. I would like to speak about the provisional conclusion. I have started this lecture talking about the book wall. Do you remember it? Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. To end this lecture, I would like to list an emotional antidote to this book wall. What elements could an antidote to the book wall have? Some of the possible elements could be the following list: acceptance, adaptability, flexibility, motivation, creativity, agility, teamwork, cooperation, innovation, leadership, inspiration, view, empathy, self-esteem, self-knowledge, resilience. You probably know of more possible emotional intelligence antidotes to add to the list. I encourage you to discuss and complete it. Also, I would like to conclude and share with you a very powerful painting by the Indian artist of modern art. The name is Biren De. Biren De. I am not sure about what is the correct pronunciation. Biren De. I believe that art can also help us and inspire us with the positive emotions to face these enormous challenges that we have as a human beings on this wonderful floating planet in the vastness of the universe. This is the picture of the BND, and thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, it will be a pleasure for me to share with us. This is the source of book wall, emotional intelligence, education cannot wait, the 4 groups of the vulnerable people, and the link to BND. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions. Chani,
Yes, sir.
do you hear well? Do you understand?
Yes, sir. It's a very nice presentation and speech. I just want to know, sir, how the type of structure which you are suggesting that we must follow. How do we implement this type of education in schools or colleges? I mean, the educational. Um,
Excuse me?
in the actually in the educational institution, how do we implement this type of education?
Yes, in the post-COVID-19 situation, or in the COVID-19 situation, or after COVID-19 situation?
Sir, actually, there are many changes going on in the educational field. We are seeing that after the post-COVID situation, that is also something we want to know. And now it's a time that we must know how we can implement this in this COVID-19 amidst the COVID-19 pandemic situation, so that our students can get benefited and they also can control their emotions, manage. And so I want to know in both the spheres how it will be utilized.
Yes, I think that we are in a new paradigm. Nobody know what is the real situation with the coronavirus pandemic. And I think that it's very important to remember the 5 components of the emotional intelligence. I think that in this actual situation, the most important is to improve the self-awareness, to improve the self-regulations, to improve the empathy, to improve the social skills, and to improve the motivation. Why? Because in this time, we have an important wave of the emotional toxic emotions. We feel pain, we feel suffering, and in this situation it's very important the self-regulation. It's important to understand that the emotion world is like a wave, and so sometimes we feel up and sometimes we feel down. And it's very important when I feel up, understand that probably in the future will feel down. And when I feel down, it's very important to understand that in the future I will feel up. This is a system to improve the self-regulation in the emotional world. At the same time, I think that it's very important to create empathy with the people that have strong situations in the COVID-19 crisis. Empathy with the poor people, empathy with the people with problems, social problems, emotional problems. I think that the 5 components of the Daniel Goleman are the key, are the solution, are the way for to resolve this emotional challenge. What do you think about these questions?
Yes, sir. I think you have defined it quite elaborately, and it's a new way to think after the post-COVID situation. Actually, we don't know in which era we are going, especially the educational field, and also there's a digitalization, and also so
Yes.
I hope if we control and manage our emotions, then yes, if we can do something better.
Yes.
And as we all know that with every problem there comes an opportunity. So we must think
Yeah.
positively in that way. Sir,
Yeah.
I have some questions. There are some questions. Shall I put to it right now?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
So there is a question um, about that. If you can elaborate a little bit about if you can say a bit more or define a bit more about the VUCA structure, the concept which you have told, that how it will be beneficial in a little bit elaboration.
About, excuse me, elaboration about?
The VUCA structure you presented.
Okay. Yes,
The
yes,
second
yes.
slide of your presentation.
Yes,
If,
yes, yes.
a lot more
Uh,
people want to know about this, if
yes,
possible, sir.
it's not a new concept. Uh, it's you have a link to understand more what is the VUCA wall, but it's not a new structure. It's a structure to understand the difficult situations in a country or in a special area after disasters or after social problems. But in this moment, all the world is the VUCA world because the coronavirus situation it's a problem, it's a global problem for everybody, for India, for Spain, for Europe, for America, for everybody. The VUCA wall is a simple structure to understand what is the future in this wall. Volatility is the concept that uh, anything is sure, all is changing. The understanding is the concept that it's difficult to understand the new the new world. It's difficult to understand the feelings of pain, feelings of suffering, feelings of fear, etc. No? The complexity, the best example of complexity is the coronavirus. Everybody is working in a solution, but at the same time, coronavirus is a complex problem, probably the most complex problem after the climate warm, because the climate warm is a complex problem with an important effects for the future and for the future, the generation of the future. And the last is ambiguity. Uh, Anything is sure, all is changing. The VUCA, it's a simple example to understand that we need flexibility to understand this volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity situation. Usually, the human being want to feel sure, to feel safe, but sometimes it's not possible because the real situation is not safe, is not sure, it's unpredictable. Yes, more or
Thank you.
less. Yes,
Yes. Thank you, sir. Can I take another question? And there is another question. Shall I take it? It's Sir, it's a question from Meeta Bandyopadhyay. She
please.
just yes, Meeta Bandyopadhyay. She has given a question that is, sir, do you think that this form of digital education should continue even after life becomes normal? That
Yes,
is digital education along with formal education. How it will go is a
yes.
question.
I think that it's a good question. Many people think that the digitization is only for the pandemic time, for coronavirus time. Personally, I think that it's for this time and probably for the future too. Yes, the digital education is changing the education, in especially in the university world. I see a high level of digital education in the Indian universities, similar in the same level in Spain, but I am happy with the level of the Indian universities because you have an important level of digital work. Yes, in especial in the international seminars or digital seminars. In Spain, there are many problems with the digitalization too. But I think that after the coronavirus, we will continue using the digital education. because we discover in this time the different possibilities to learn, to share with the Indian colleagues, with the Spanish colleagues, to share with other people. And I think that is the future. The future, in especially in the university world, is is the digitization.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
okay. Sir, I have a question.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Please.
sir. I have a question. I just want to know, as you have community experience as an educator, I would like to know how we can channel emotional intelligence in community. Oh, it is very needed now, actually.
Yes. The emotional intelligence in the community. Ask, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I think that it's very important to promote, to improve, to teach, to learn about the emotional intelligence. When I visit India every year during January and February, it's an opportunity to learn, because sometimes the Indian people think that Europe have the more level of the intelligence, emotional intelligence. But I discovered in India a high level of emotional intelligence, high level of respect, high level of values, and I think that it's very important to take care these Indian values. When I visit India, it's time to learn about the Indian philosophy, Indian values, because sometimes Europe is losing these values, losing these high levels of the respect between teachers, between families, between fathers, between daughters and sons. And for me, it's an amazing opportunity when I visit India to learn about all these questions, because I think that India is a wonderful and amazing place to learn about all these questions, more than Europe.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shadni.
This is it's really a very good lecture, and I thank you for your highly innovative lecture. Now,
Okay.
over to the chairperson, Professor Debabrata Devnath, sir.
Okay. Sorry to say, from the very beginning of this today's seminar, my system is not supporting me. So I missed the first part of the lecture of Professor Emily. So I am feeling myself very unfortunate. But after his interaction session, after I was here and I got it clearly, the interaction session and the question answering sessions of Professor Emily. From this, I can say that Professor Emily nicely cleared about how to organize, how to manage, how to cope up with the emotional intelligence and other emotional aspects during this pandemic and after this pandemic. I think the audience, the participants who are here and who have heard you clearly, they will be more and more benefited with your informations. And adding with you, I just want to say, I think emotion is a necessary part of every human being. We cannot live, we cannot we cannot think without emotion, because emotion is a very necessary part for making us a human. But being emotional may be harmful. So we have to control, we have to learn, we have to know how to control our emotion, how to manage our emotion, and how to use our emotion in proper way, in proper place. So I think this type of seminar and this type of lectures and some eminent personalities like Professor Emily will be very helpful to us in a society in our India and in West Bengal basically. So, on behalf of the organizers, I would like to convey our sincere thanks and gratitude to Professor Emily for being with us from Spain, and it is possible easily due to this seminar is organized virtually. And after pandemic is over, I would like to invite Professor Emily to come among us, and we want to hear and we want to learn more and more from you. And so this is our heartfelt thank to you, sir. And I hope we will meet once again during pandemic and after pandemic also. So thank you once again, Professor Emily, on behalf of the organizers. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words, Professor Devavatra.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Now, Chandni, is it time for the second speaker? Hello. Chandni, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay.
Uh,
Now,
yes,
may I call the second speaker? Is she here?
she is trying to reach. She also experiencing some technical problem. She will.
Yes.
She is trying to join.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay.
Then we may start the session after her joining.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I am here, but you just call me and I will try to start
Yes,
the
sir.
session.
I will point you out. And yeah, the moment she will be here any moment.
Okay, okay, okay. I am also with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Is joining.
Professor Emily, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sir. Yet our session is postponed for few minutes. May I talk to you
Okay.
during this time?
The next session.
No. Before starting the next session, as the second speaker is not joined yet, so
Yes.
I want to share my views, or I want to know from you more during this stop here.
Yes. Okay. Okay. No
Okay.
problem.
Now you are from Generio, I think, University of Generio, Spain.
Yes, I live in Girona. Girona
Sorry,
is a small
Girona.
town.
Yes.
Girona.
Okay.
Girona is a small town near
Yes.
to Barcelona, 100 kilometers to Barcelona. And
Mm.
Barcelona is the
Yes.
capital to Catalonia. Catalonia is a part of Spain. The
Okay.
capital of Spain is Madrid, and the
Yes.
capital to Catalonia is
Mm.
Barcelona. I live
Mm.
in Girona. Girona is a small town near
Okay.
to the Mediterranean Sea, near
Mm.
to the Pyrenees Mountains, near
Okay.
to France. In
Okay.
1 hour, it's possible go to the Mediterranean Sea, the Pyrenees Mountains, or to France, yes,
Okay.
or to Barcelona. It's a small town only with 100,000 population and
Mm.
only with one university.
Mm.
Yes.
Yes. You are
And
working in that university.
yes, I work in this university, University of Girona,
Girona.
Universitat de Girona. I
Yes.
teach about the social psychology and
Okay.
educational psychology.
Okay.
And I have colleagues in the University of Kolkata and
Okay.
colleagues in the Vishnu Bharati University and
Mm.
West Bengal State University. And it's
Okay.
a pleasure and opportunity for me to learn about Indian culture, Indian universities, Indian
Okay.
philosophy,
Mm.
and and it's when I visit India, I am happy, and when I collaborate with the Indian universities online, I am happy too. Yes,
So,
Girona.
why you do feel interest in Indian culture, Indian philosophy? What is your latent interest? Why you are interested in Indian culture?
Yes, good question. I ask sometimes me, why is my interest with the
Yes.
Indian philosophy? To be honest, I don't know. When I was young, I felt an enormous interest with the Indian philosophy, and during all my life, I traveled to India many times to discover this interest. In special, I have interest with the Indian philosophy, the Indian point of view. I think that the Indian people have a different point of view uh, than the European people. We have more importance to the family, to the values, to the respect between persons. I know that we have an important problems. I know, but at the same times, I discover in India, in West Bengal, in a special, an special uh, system to understand the life, very different than the European system. And for me, it's important to discover about the Vivekananda too, about the Ramakrishna, about the Indian authors, and sometimes I learn about the Krishnamurti too. I visited the Krishnamurti schools in India, Rajgat school in Banarasi, and more or less. But to be honest, I don't know what is uh, the, the 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 last reason of this interest. I don't know.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes.
So it is we are very happy to know you that you are more interested in our Indian culture, Indian society, and you know about Ramakrishna Dev and Swami Vivekananda. Sir, my
Yes.
next just I want to know you have come to know about them after coming India or from your Spain about Vivekananda and Ramakrishna.
Mm, unfortunately, there are not a Ramakrishna in Spain. Nobody and know who is Vivekananda in Spain.
Okay,
This
okay.
is sad. It's sad. But in England or in America, the Vivekananda and Ramakrishna mission is more popular, but not in Spain, because there are not a Ramakrishna mission in Spain.
In Spain,
And the
yes.
majority of my colleagues ask me, who is Vivekananda? Or who is Aurobindo? Or who is Krishnamurti? And I think that we have the opportunity to learn about these authors, Aurobindo, Tagore, of course, Vivekananda. The majority of my colleagues know only Tagore. You say Tagore, no?
Tagore,
Tagore,
yes, yes, yes.
yes. Uh, not only as a poet, but not as a educator or a social transformation. And my goal in this moment is to improve the knowledge about these Indian authors, Aurobindo, Tagore, Krishnamurti, Vivekananda, to my students and to my colleagues.
Sir, do you speak with your students about our Indian culture and especially Vivekananda Aurobindo? Tagore?
Yes, I would like, if you have opportunity one day, it's a good idea to share and to prepare a Vivekananda lecture for my students. But the problem of my students, of my colleagues too, is that the majority of the Spanish people don't speak English. This is a
Oh,
big challenge for us.
yes, yes,
It's a
yes.
big problem. Yes.
That's so nice. Sir, I just want to interrupt uh, for one.
Okay.
We
Okay,
have our second eminent speaker with us,
okay, okay,
Professor.
okay.
Thank you.
Now,
Um,
Professor Emily, it is a very nice moments for share with you some views about you and what you think about us. So on behalf of the organization, but on personal behalf, I want to again thank you for my thanks you and hope to meet you once again, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Okay, namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
You know everything. Thank you, sir. Okay. Now, Chandni,
Yes, sir, you start.
I would like to continue the session. And the speaker of this part is Professor Mrs. Gouramma IP. She is the professor and head of the Department of Education, Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar. Madam, do you hear me, madam?
Yes,
Hello.
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, madam. Okay, madam. Now I would like to request the convener of this international webinar, Mrs. Chandni Sorgar, to introduce the speaker among us.
Thank you, sir. Now, moving on with the permission of the chairperson to the next presentation by our second esteemed speaker of this session, Professor Gouramma IP. She is at present Professor and Head, Department of Education at the Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar, National Council of Education Research and Training, Odisha, India. She has done MD, specialization in special education, MSc, psychology, PhD education about learning disability, and PG diploma in hearing impairment. In addition to regular teaching experience in elementary and secondary schools, Professor Mrs. Gouramma IP provided support services to students with disabilities in inclusive setup to cope up with the regular school subjects, guiding parents and teachers on specific issues concerning the learning of children with disabilities. 25 years of teaching experience at school, B.Ed, M.Ed, M.Phil, and PhD programs Professor Gouramma has. Professor Gouramma IP has published many books and contributed articles to journals and books to national and international publications, presented papers, delivered keynote addresses, and spoke as invited speaker at international, national, and state-level workshops, conferences, and seminars. She has completed 8 research projects and provided consultancy to 4 educational projects funded by state, national, and international agencies. Professor Gouramma IP visited Greece in 1997 and 2005, Cyprus 1999, Bangkok 2013, USA 2014, and South Africa 2018 to speak on various issues concerning education of children with disabilities and teacher education for inclusive education. Now, may I kindly request Professor Mrs. Gouramma IP to deliver her lecture on educating self for emotional well-being. Over to you, madam. Ma'am, please unmute. You have mute.
Thank you,
Okay.
Chandni. Thank you very much for, first of all, thinking of me to make a part of you in this webinar. And also for introduction, I don't know, the participants will really be surprised. My area of interest and work has been in working with children with the different disabilities, and what qualifies me to be here to speak about educating self for emotional well-being. Well, that's while working with parents, with my experience in dealing with the different disabilities, children, their learning, that has really made me understand that we need to understand ourselves and we have to take a position for ourselves. We have to stand for ourselves. Unless we do that, no energy, no resources around us can come to our rescue. Only when we educate ourselves and we are emotionally strong, the resources, the help from outside also come to us. With this, let me share my slide. Before that, I don't know if your respected Vice Chancellor and Registrar are here. My greetings to them also, and all the organizers. Chandani, if I understand, you have the students of your university as main audience today.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
We have YouTube live going on, and there are many, people are watching across India. Participants are watching, and here we have to limit the disturbances, so we have gone for Google Meet.
Okay. Anyway, probably I will focus more on students and teacher educators. And dear students, I really would like to interact with you at the end after my presentation. You can please note down, or if you want to reflect upon or ask anything. I don't say I will answer your question, but definitely I would like to know your questions, because that gives me opportunity to reflect further in this area. So with this, let me share. So Albert Einstein is well known for his E is equal to mc square equation, and he has also given, being a great physicist, he also has given equations for life and living. He is truly a philosopher who could think beyond physics. And when he says ego is equal to 1 by knowledge, it clearly says ego is inversely proportional to knowledge. And this knowledge is not the knowledge of material and natural world around us by itself. Rather, it is the real life knowledge, the social, the emotional aspects of self and our surrounding, which makes the knowledge, which he talks of knowledge here. And you all are aware, educating self for emotional well-being is the focus of discussion today in this webinar on renegotiating and educating emotional intelligence during pandemic. This picture communicates so many things. You can just see, and let us discuss, if at all, if there is any. What is this picture which is there in the screen is giving? What kind of thought you're getting when you see the picture? This is all about is our talk today. Yes, being humans means having emotions. To be frank, why only humans? Every living being has emotions. They evolved. Why the emotions are there? As we evolved in the human or in the animal cycle, the emotions also have evolved with the only motive to keep us safe. Emotions are for our safety, especially during the changing times and at times of when there is a threat in our surrounding. Emotions are they safeguard us, and thus they manifest as strong physical sensations, and we cannot ignore them. Emotions are very dear to us and very close to us, and it in fact is the life we live is because of the various emotions we experience. And you have already discussed, I was listening to you in the initial part, I had to disconnect in between. It is about perceiving emotions of self and others. We have to be able to perceive the emotions, understand the emotions of self and others, and we have to be using appropriate emotions, and we have to be controlling and managing our emotions also in our day-to-day life, in our living, any any situation it may be a mundane routine life, or especially your focus today of this webinar is related to pandemic. Let us discuss when it is a time of certain unexpected event which comes suddenly, which we are not prepared. Neither the self nor our surrounding is prepared. So it becomes all the more important to know our emotions and manage our emotions at this type of time. How do we, the topic is about educating the self. How do we educate ourselves? This is, you can think of knowing ourselves. What are the different ways? Why should we know ourselves? And by knowing ourselves, how can we have the emotional balance which is helpful to ourselves and also to our people who are around us, and largely to the society we are living in, and also to the nation. And now we cannot limit ourselves to nation, it is at the global level. So imagine knowing a self is very essential in order to be comfortable, calm, peaceful, happy existence for ourselves. Only then we are able to be related with the society, nation, and global level at a level of contributing something. Self-awareness is related to everything what is, it may be within us, like what do I know, what is that knowledge I have. It is self-awareness, in fact, takes us out of being ordinary. It is self-awareness is like, in order to take a position, to know who I am, need to have a high level of humility to accept what we are ignorant about. It is not just ignorant about what we do not know, and also it is, we are ignorant even to what we are capable of. That is really a loss to self and society. Unless we are aware of our potentials, it's a great loss that we are not able to bring out the potential for my happiness and to the happiness of the surrounding. It's the being ignorant. We need to be really at a great level to understand our own ignorance. It is like, if for example, I am not disciplined, I am not able to control myself. Are we ignorant to these facts? Each of us may have something within us we are ignorant. Let us see today, it is like meeting somebody, an exciting person. Today, let us see, let us have the pleasure of meeting a person who's very close to us, who is not known to us very clearly. And that is what is the journey of educating self. And when we are able to do it, it's such a beautiful world that we live in, and we have lots of meaning in life. There is purpose in life when we are able to do it. And as I already said, being ignorant to what I am capable of, that is unpardonable. So like, we have to have this journey of understanding ourselves. This is a matrix which very simply says about recognizing the self. Self-awareness. See, at the level of self, we need to have recognition and regulation both. At the level of regulation, it is recognition, it is the self-awareness. What is my personal purpose? Is there have a goal? Do I have a goal? If there is a goal for my life, definitely there are reasons that I come out of my comfort zone. I see lots of positive emotions come out with the goal, the purpose of life. And the life becomes very meaningful when there is a purpose for life. that gives meaning to life, and that comes with positive emotions, and that very nicely takes us out of our comfort zone in order to, it is like a baby step we take. We may not feel the discomfort of coming out of our comfort zone if our goal is fixed. Knowing yourself, in order to move towards the purpose at the self-awareness level, we need to know ourselves, know our thoughts, feelings and thoughts. And at the social level, it is very essential that we are aware of the people with whom we are living, with whom we are working. It may be empathy, understanding their difficulties, their pains, their situation they are in, their happiness, being connected to them for in their pain and pleasure, being close to them, having a relationship, trying to have a connectivity with others. This is at the recognition level, at the social level. And regulation is nothing but self-management, having a self-control, knowing what to speak, when to speak, and when I speak, reflecting. It's together simultaneously. It should become a habit within us, what I should speak, how I should speak, when I should control, and managing the moods. All will have ups and downs. Everybody will feel like lazing. But what is that which makes us come out of that? That is self-management. We have to know when we have to come out of that. And when at the social level, it is nothing but managing the relationship. We know collaboration is such a skill that is required in the present, especially for the 21st century, where collaborative conversation is a gateway to knowledge and to progress, not just to the self and for the universe. We have to be engaging in conversations with the people, and that's one of the excellent ways of learning and understanding ourselves also. It is like we are seeing ourselves through conversation with others. These are harmless, these are effortless ways of educating self. Unless we have this relationship management with our social surrounding, we are not able to continue with this kind of a collaborative conversation, which may limit our educating self. Learning and coaching. See, when we are with others, it is so much of learning for us, and it is also sharing. It's like at a school level, it may be a peer coaching, it's like peer tutoring, or at a family level, we are trying, it may be youngsters or elders. Today's family is like, there is much to learn for the elders from the younger generation, especially the technological tools. The younger generation are so well versed. They are like, they are born in this, they are not immigrants like us, rather they are natives of the technological world, wherein we can, they become very excellent coach for us. So from our elders, what do we learn? The wisdom, the collective wisdom, which is around us. Unless we have good relationship with others, we can manage our skills of continuing the relationship with others. Our learning limits. It may be learning at both levels. It may be the physical or the materialistic learning, or the learning of self. Both are related here. And we, in order to continue this kind of a relationship, to continue the learning and coaching, both, this is mutual. Like, have being together, we learn, and we also help others learn by managing our relationship. And this is social and emotional learning is very essential in a process of educating self. Self-awareness. We may wonder, are we not aware of ourselves? Sometimes maybe we are not going into us because we may see the unknown devil is better. We don't know much of us, and we may purposely hide. We may not want to know it, but it is very true. The it is more dangerous not to know the devil within us. So instead of fearing the devil within us, it's interesting, it's progressive to confront with the devil within us, recognizing, because once we identify, we are aware, we can, once we confront, we get the way ahead of knowing us, what is that which I don't know, what is that which I am not willing to do, because we are always confused. What is that which I want? What is that which I don't want? If we can know that through self-awareness, it is our strengths, the challenges which we have. Unless we explore the unknown within us, we'll never know what are those strengths and challenges. Rather, we feel there is no need of going ahead because we are comfortable knowing less about us. Once we are aware of ourselves, it's a very simple task to manage ourselves because we know our strengths and weakness. And we also, in self-awareness, it is also my position in this society. What am I here doing? So that gives us a purpose, our goal, and the managing emotions and behaviors become automatic part because we have to reach our goal. We have to see that our purpose is achieved for the happiness of self and for others. Again, it is social awareness, and self-awareness only can give us social awareness. Self-management only can help us manage our social surrounding, and unless we have both the social and emotional learning, we cannot have our emotional well-being. We will be terribly disturbed, we will be confused, we get we fear. There's a lot to fear because much of the things are unknown. The unknown is fearful. We don't venture into identifying our unknown because we are afraid of some of the things which we may not be ready to accept. So how do we educate self? Very simple strategies. We are all, we can think of the pandemic. We are with so much of information about the pandemic, about the situation which is there, in which we are surrounded with. Several things are happening and so much of information through different media, through people whom we are talking, our gadget. These are all giving lots of information. And here, going inside and educating self becomes a necessary task. How do we do it? The first step is to take a pause. Constant thinking is there within us. It may be of certain useless things or useful things, whatever it is. It may be very useful thought also. It's very essential that we pause for a while. Pause and observe. What do we observe? Let us observe ourselves as we observe a stranger. When somebody new come in our surrounding, when somebody comes in our contact, we observe them top to bottom at a physical level. Not just the physical level, we also try to understand them inside also. The way they are looking, the way they are, their body language, why they might have come, is there cunningness in them, is there love, compassion in them. We observe and we analyze a stranger always. So this observation is for observing ourselves. We have to see somebody, we have to see ourselves as someone whom we are meeting for the first time. Daily we can do this. We are strangers to ourselves daily. So every day, if we can observe ourselves, it's a excellent exercise. Once we observe, next is self-talk. What is that I want? what is that I am procrastinating about? I have to ask. Initially, it can be a talk overt. Initially, it can be a overt talk also, because otherwise we are not used to having a talk with ourselves. Then once we ask, what is that I'm procrastinating about? Or it could be, what is that I'm good at? What is that I am uncomfortable? Then we can also, the question can go further. Why am I procrastinating? What is this? There is a heap of tasks which I have to do. Then sequence it. We see, when we self-talk, we understand what is that we are avoiding to do. Should we do it? If I do it, what is the benefit? How am I getting better? How am I getting better at it? How can I sort myself out? Somehow I feel there is some discomfort. I'm not happy about something, but we are not aware what is that discomfort, what is that unhappiness within us, unless we talk to ourselves and find out. Sometimes it is hidden. Sometimes it will be a very small step. It is self-talk will bring out what is there which is troubling within me, and we can sequence it. There are so many things. Oh, this work I have been keeping for months together. Sequence. Take a small step. It is like if you want to finish the elephant, you have to take the first bite. Take a small step, 1 minute effort. The work which I have been keeping aside, taking it out, it is a sequencing internally. So today I'm just keeping it on my table ready. I have just glanced through it, taking say 2 minutes. That also gives a beginning to it. Then visualize. Once I complete it, that feeling, that happiness, that clutter vanishing from my table, as a student or an employee or anything, even at home, our day-to-day household chores, it could be anything. When we visualize, once this is done, how it is, our small step get happier and happier when we go. There may be a huge task. That huge task also becomes like, oh, you see, I have eaten the elephant. With the first bite, I have started and have completed. Only the tail is left. So you get further motivated, and we can visualize that, and we can go in a sequential way. We can accomplish a certain, bring out much from us, because we are social. We are happy with people whom we love. Our family, our friends, our close people. We like to be with them. Talk openly about the situation. When we talk to others, it is like somebody else mirror to us. It is, one is self-mirroring. We can see ourselves. We can see internal of ourselves, our thoughts, our feelings, our difficulties, our challenges. We can see. Otherwise, the other option is to have people with whom we can talk the situation. During this pandemic, what is that putting me into trouble? Talk to friends, talk to family. Is it the fear of getting infection? Is it the fear of losing my dear people? Is it the situation that my education getting affected? What is, am I scared of the future? Is it the job? Is it the financial depletion? What is that? If it is fear, I'm telling, there may be so many other kinds of feeling we need to identify and speak out with people. It shows ourselves. When we talk to others, it's a wonderful way of exposing us to ourselves. So people become mirror to us and help us to know us better. Educate yourself and others. If there is something which you have understood, or if you have learned something about the pandemic, for example, history of pandemic, you learned, you read about it. What are those ways? There are many countries who have fought with several infectious diseases, and they have come out of it. What were those ways? There are literature available, and we need to read, understand, use it. We have to discuss with others also, because my peace, my happiness is in the happiness and peace of my people in my surrounding. So these are the ways with which we can promote knowledge in our surrounding about the known things. But equally dangerous is the half-baked knowledge, the unscientific facts which we are propagating. We have to have a check and promote only those things which are authentic information. Only if you are sure about it, we can discuss with others and help others also to know it. Show compassion for the needy. See, compassion, having a compassion is one of the simplest way of maintaining emotional well-being. There are people who are suffering more than me. I at least have a gadget to learn. I can attend online class. There may be somebody who is not even having a gadget, not a place to sit and study, not enough resources for continuing the academic pursuit. Come into a balance instead of being too much with myself. Self-centeredness leads to further complication of the situation we are in. It's interesting to be compassionate for the needy. Choose empowerment over shame. We have lots of things to say that we feel the shortcomings. Some of us have we are the easiest target for ourselves. We target ourselves. We feel, or sometimes it is like finding fault with myself. Everything I do, I find fault with myself, and I'm always feeling uncomfortable because I feel I am not able to accomplish something. When can we choose empowerment? First of all, in our thought and feeling. A feeling that this I am able to do. How? This is how I have to choose the way I accomplish a task and experience that accomplishment, that experience of that feeling of accomplishment itself is making us move towards empowerment. We cannot choose empowerment without anything, but we need to also think the other way. Instead of thinking, having self-pity, oh, I am not able to go out anywhere because of this corona, I can't do that. Can we think of how so many people are working? Though it is corona and the spread of this epidemic is going on all around us, but don't we see people working? How are they working? Let us also empower ourselves by looking at others who are in the process of on their daily routine. Instead of staying, not doing anything, let us do something and then feel that accomplishment, and that gives us we feel empowered. Be honest about an action to bring change. We should have faith that we can do this. When are we honest about an action? Hello, just a minute, I'll call you. It is ultimately to have a better internal feeling so that we are happier. Educating self is for finding a meaning. Why are we finding a meaning for life? That is for our own comfort, our own existence in a balanced and a harmonious way. সবাই ভালো থেকো, আবার দেখা হবে। It is ultimately being who you are and simply being happy with ourselves. This is the simple way of educating ourselves.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for your extremely informative lecture. Thank you, madam. So we have some questions with us.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
yes. So there's a first question is that as you are speaking about self-awareness, self-management, relationship management, I am thinking of ancient Indian texts like Bhagavad Gita and other which are also focused on that. Would you please share your views if there occur any difference between the age-old ideologies and modern approaches of emotional intelligence?
Definitely our mythology, all our story, even the Panchatantra stories, if you think of, they all are treasure house of knowing ourselves. We know some of our stories and mythologies, logically, it may not be giving us anything. You may laugh at the illogical instances which we have believed, but that has lots of input for us to develop in a emotionally strong individuals.
Yes.
We
Okay.
we can take a lot from our animal stories, Panchatantra. Each story has something that it was wonderful to grow with the mythological stories and the Panchatantra stories, which give a lot of meaning to us. As children, why do we enjoy it? Why children repeatedly hear those stories? Sometimes we might have heard some stories 100 times from our parents or grandparents. What is that which makes us drawn towards that? It is making us
Okay, ma'am. Another question. I am taking just two more questions I will take. And this is the question is, as there are different individual, there may be conflicts of emotion. Would you please share your thoughts how emotional experience and conflicts of emotions are related? Emotional experience and conflicts of emotions are related.
Okay, like when when there is conflict, when there is conflicting opinions, how do we manage the emotion? Is that the question?
Yes, ma'am. The question it asks that emotional experience and conflicts of emotions. Sometimes we have to take some decisions which is against our emotional ground, and then when we take the decisions, there is always a conflict of emotion is there, but we have to take it. And how we balance this kind of situation when something
That's
happens?
what it is. It is truly we are familiar with problem solving. Certain situations call for taking a decision. So that decision, based on what do we take?
Yes.
It is, to be frank, our experience, more and more experience with the social situations, give us more experience to deal with certain challenges and taking decisions. The decision which we take, one is it should be ethical base is a must when we take a decision. And the next one is it should not be harming the majority.
Yes.
The ethical base is an essential thing, and that depends on my personal philosophy also. Sometimes you're very right, certain conflicts come based on the personal philosophy. I don't want to take decision against my personal philosophy, but for a larger good. So that is what is experience. Lot of experience, discussion with experienced people will help us in doing it, and going deep within us and asking ourselves, these are the different ways which we can the few things like, not being impulsive. We that helps actually. Our emotionality comes if we are able to think slowly, take a decision in collaboration, in consultation, with a strong ethical base. Our judgment or our decision, that is the collaboration. These are the very essential things. We should understand the other's perspective. Somebody may say something which is conflicting to my opinion, but we need to see their perspective. It calls for a second to think what may be the perspective, why that same thing has different perspectives based on the experience, based on the background, based on the context of each individual. So the difference are bound to be there, and our experience in the social certainly do it with discussion and collaboration.
Okay, ma'am. Another question. That is, can meditation be a way of educating self?
True, very true. Nothing but take a pause, observe, self-talk, sequence, visualize. The first point of educating self is nothing but meditation. It is visiting ourselves, keeping
Right.
us with us in alignment. It is an being in alignment with my external and internal. That is what is the harmony. In fact, when we have more experience, we understand it better. But it is not easy. It's definitely, it is like I'll go back to my first slide. You can remember the first slide. So educating self is like one is coming out of all the comfort zone, and it is making myself as what I am visualizing. If you can remember the first slide where that picture was there, where the person is with the chisel forming self. So lot of pain has to the difficulties, take lots of risks, take all challenges, struggle physically, emotionally, psychologically, then only that disturbance settles to give us peace and comfort. Your question of asking meditation is very much through meditation only we can educate self. But I didn't go to meditation. Rather, if you are not able to do meditation, at least you can adapt certain simple steps like pause and stop and think and ask yourself.
My question is, what are the challenges of emotional intelligence during and post-COVID era? What are the emotional challenges we are facing now and can or will be in after the COVID era? We are hoping that it will end.
Yes. Knowing the history again, it is little knowledge about history. We have seen in the past also there were this kind of situations. This is not the first time we are encountering this, but slightly every time, if you no two challenges are similar, but experiencing one challenge, facing one hurdle will keep us, one is prepared. One is we are stronger to face the next challenge, or the second thing is we have certain strategies already learned in the previous challenge, which may come handy to the present situation which we are taking. So we can learn little lesson from our previous experiences. So the emotional instability right now is one I am seeing in my our students have lot of confusion about their future, about the future studies and their course which is going on. They feel that they are missing something, because we know, though these online classes are going on, how much want to become individuals at all by our learning. Our learning is for society. And when we are becoming individualistic learning, I'm just learning by myself, there's limitation to my learning when I'm an individual learner. One. The second thing is I'm losing out all the opportunities of sharing not only the academic learning, but my personal and my emotional feelings also. That is a big challenge, which only reopen it will end soon. Otherwise, to manage this emotional disturbance which is going on right now, we have to come out with certain alternatives. Can we engage our students in other activities through this online, other than just classroom activities?
Yes, classroom.
Can we have some social activities in their own local area? What they can do small videos and we can have a discussion, because that will be a experience. If say 100 students, say 50 students are there in our class, probably 10 will be able to go to the outside surrounding, get certain things picturized, they can come and share. So that becomes a learning to all the other 10. I have noticed, Chandni, in my experience of, because this online teaching, one of the emotional disturbance for teachers
Yes.
also, we are very
Exactly.
uncomfortable talking to the gadget, because we want a big classroom, walking around and seeing everybody's emotion. I am trying to compensate to see the emotion of students. I tell them to talk, and but still there are limitations. One of the things I have found is giving them breaking the content into small activities, some which requires a academic strong base. That means they have to read it also, but we have to supply certain materials to them and putting it into a situation and bringing that wonderful experience. Students come out with something which we can't imagine. So such activities keep them, see, they feel purposeless now.
Yes.
Morning you get up, they don't even switch on the video because they may be in the bed. They may not have brushed also. They may not have dressed up also. So I tell them, I want to see you. I want to see your dress. So please open your, so some of them have excuses like, ma'am, there is no network, I cannot. But once in a way, 5 minutes, at least you, because that's a comfort zone. Switching off video and sitting in the class is such a comfort. I need not be listening also. I may be sleeping or I may be doing something. So slowly, in a very loving way, in a very understanding way, if we can bring our students as much as possible into the activities, becoming active learners instead of being a very passive listener without any meaning to it, that we can try. There are many. So these things, when we know what is the emotional disturbance, if we know within us what is that, we can come out with what I can do to improve upon it. That's my context. That's my background. That's my situation. Each of us have that potential to improve upon it. That's my situation. Each of us have that potential to improve upon it.
Welcome back. Uh, Now, may I kindly request the chairperson of this session, Mr. Udayan Mondal, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, Bankura University, to conduct the paper presentation session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chandni Sarkar, the convener of the 2 days international webinar. We have had very good interaction session. Our two previous speakers very informatively and very deliberately discussed topic, and we have enriched by them. So I congratulate two of the previous speakers. Now it is time for a technical session for paper presenting. I have 5 paper presenters today. I just announce their names and be ready for presenting their papers. First one is Dr. Nandini Banerjee and Mr. Shumon Ghosh. Second one is Miss Babli Sarkar and Professor Dr. Bijon Sarkar sir. Third one is Bhavesh Pramanik. Fourth one is Shonali Negel and Professor Kartik Chandra Pramanik. And fifth one is Shankha Maiti. So first paper presenter Dr. Nandini Banerjee and Shumon Ghosh. Are you ready for present your paper?
Yes, sir. I am Shumon Ghosh.
Yes.
I am ready to present my paper.
Okay, you please carry on. And do you want to share your screen?
No, sir. I am not sharing my screen. I am just orally present my paper.
Okay, you have 8 minutes in all. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Please start.
I will try.
Please start your paper. Please start your paper.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Am I audible clearly? Hello?
Yes,
Sir?
you are perfectly audible.
Okay. Thank you once again.
Yes, you are perfectly audible.
Okay. Thank you. At first, I would like to give thanks to the organizing committee of the webinar, Bankura University, and respected chairperson, Dr. Udayan Mondal, and especially Chandni Sarkar madam, for giving me such a wonderful opportunity. Myself, Shumon Ghosh, a research scholar, Department of Education, Kazi Nazrul University. The title of our paper is Impact of COVID-19 on Social Life and Economic Condition Study. The paper is prepared by Dr. Nandini Banerjee, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, Kazi Nazrul University, and Shumon Ghosh, Research Scholar, Department of Education, Kazi Nazrul University, and myself is going to present the paper. At first, I will share the abstract, and it is: the current global pandemic, COVID-19, has turned into a threat to the worldwide community. This virus of the corona family causes SARS in the people they infect. The virus is mainly transmitted through coughing or sneezing on people. As there is no suitable vaccine for this disease, many governments have imposed lockdowns as one of the options to curb the growth rate of the contagious virus. The outbreak of COVID-19 in many poor communities in various places of the world create extreme challenging socio-economic and livelihood consequences. India is not free from these consequences also. A developing country with a burden of huge population, India has to shut down its borders, educational institutions, many commercial establishments, places for religious practice, even also the parliament under the Epidemic Disease Act 1897 to prevent the transmission of the virus. COVID-19 crisis comes at a time when India's GDP growth was slowing down and unemployment was on the rise owing to poor economic performance over the last several years. The precarious situation that the economy was in before getting hit by this shock will potentially worsen the effect of the shock. This is especially because the financial sector, which is the brain of the economy, has not been functioning properly. It is difficult to fully comprehend the extent of the damage that the Indian economy is currently incurring. For that, a huge impact we can observe on social, economic, educational, agricultural, religious, political, health system as we compare the situation before and during the lockdown period and after that also. The novel coronavirus and the containment measures posed a challenge to the interpersonal and community interactions. Thus, social relations become severely impacted. Anxiety, depression, stressful states of loneliness, mental disorders, health hazards, and many other issues impacted the human social life as a whole. There are some keywords like that: COVID-19, economic downturn, lockdown, social distance, stress, quarantine. Introduction. We all know that the people of the world are going through a critical period of time from December 2019 onwards due to COVID-19. The novel coronavirus disease is severely affecting the common life due to its worldwide spread. The Wuhan Hubei province, China, the incident was first noticed in December 2019, while on 31st December 2019, the government of China informed the World Health Organization about the unknown cause of respiratory illness in many patients, in the above mentioned province particularly. The recorded case was first found in China, Wuhan Seafood Wholesale Market. A new coronavirus was reported on January 7, initially abbreviated as 2019 nCoV by WHO, later named as 2019 COVID or COVID-19, belonging to the study group SARS-CoV-2. The virus was spreading very rapidly and the activity cases were jumping in numbers every hour. The WHO has declared the epidemic on 7th January 2020. The CCDC identified the infection as novel coronavirus, and on 11th February, the WHO announced it with a new name of this pandemic as COVID-19. In India, Janta curfew was announced by Honorable Prime Minister. On 22nd March, a complete lockdown was announced from the 24th of March across India and requested to maintain the social distancing. From this onwards, most of the citizens come to know the word quarantine. Realizing the practical condition of the rapid spread of the coronavirus, the lockdown has been extended into few phases for the next few months. The social suffering and economic condition of poor people, especially for daily wagers, migrant workers, were peaking high to higher day by day. After the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in India, the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare have been issuing guidelines from time to time. The second largest populated country, India, contributes heavily to the world's GDP. With its fairly strong economic growth percentage, India is amongst the most prominent developing country in the world. There is no doubt that social distancing and home quarantine can have many negative effects. School children, the tourism sector, factories, departmental stores, hotels and restaurants, banking, real estate, frontline health workers, frontline administrators, daily wagers, hawkers, beggars, even the street animals, all are the sufferers. The practice of social distancing is also creating a negative impact on the socializing process of people. It is creating a psychological stigma which has a long-term negative impact. The impacts of the COVID-19 are beyond mortality and morbidity. The objectives of this paper is to study and to find out the impact of lockdown, COVID-19 on individuals, habits, social conditions, economic conditions, social life, and various measures and adjustments made by the common people in this crisis period. The methodology of the present study is based on secondary data. For this, many journals, newspapers, magazines, articles, online survey reports have been analyzed and noted. The required data are collected from databases such as Statista, Worldometer, WHO Statistics, Global Health Observatory, etc. Effects on the economy. The coronavirus has already affected hugely the world economy and damaged the global market share. India and economy is not out of the grip of the devastating effect. Without livelihoods, life itself is less relevant. Both global markets are tightly interconnected in this era of globalization. The world has been experiencing the toughest global downturn. The pandemic has a devastating effect on the supply chain. Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry is tied by conducting collaborative sessions among the industry leaders to assess the effect of coronavirus and lockdown on companies throughout the world. The unemployment rate is 8.71% as recorded on March 2020 by CMIE data. The labor report June 2020 was alarming. The unemployment rate noted as all-time high. Lockdown seriously hampered steel production, cement production, drug fertilization, petroleum production, coal mining, etc. CMIE data depicts us about the huge fall of consumption of petroleum, power generation, offtake of coal, steel production, consumption of oil production fell around 17.81% in March 2020 compared with last year. Since 2004, this is the largest decline in petroleum usage as data shows. Coal offtake decreased by 10.33%. GDP is an all-time low during this period. The economic condition and its progress are completely shaken in India along with almost all countries in the world. Lockdown and COVID-19 hits household income with around 135 billion populated Indian. Limited transport and restricted transport also slowed down economic activities. The Honorable Prime Minister has declared a package for this COVID-19 situation, but this will not encourage the Indian economic situation in a short term. A balance in the situation has to be created or restored. Labor cut down, unemployment, average income, common people's purchase capability, demand and supply ratio are in the alarming situation. A definite plan of action for the short-term benefit and long-term benefit is urgently needed, and hence the role of RBI is crucial. The policymakers, administrators have to think it right now onwards about the effect of COVID-19. Former RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan rightly said, it is said that India reforms only in crisis. Hopefully, this otherwise unmitigated tragedy will help us see how weakened we have become as a society, and will focus our politics on the critical economics and healthcare reforms we sorely need. India has a vast informal sector, the largest in the world, employing close to 90% of its working population and contributing more than 45% to its overall GDP. This sector is consecutively shocked by demonetization in the year 2016, goods and service tax in the year 2017, lockdown in 2020. Data from the Consumer Pyramid Household Level Survey of the CMIE shows that the overall weekly unemployment rate went up drastically from an average of 9% in March to around 23% in May and to as high as 35% by early June. It was higher in urban areas compared to rural areas. The agriculture sector is critical as a large number of workers and the entire country's population are dependent on this sector. The performance of agriculture is also key to the state of the rural demand. Although all business have to affected by the pandemic, the MSME, that is micro, small and medium enterprise sector, would be particularly worse hit by reduced cash flows caused by the nationwide lockdown. Business world, trade and movements disrupted. Most of the countries have slowed down their production. Yes, sir. Okay. As the time is too short, though I have to discuss some points, that is effects on daily life. There are some points, but rather I will discuss conclusion in 2 or 3 sentences. On March 26, 2020, Finance Minister announced rupees 1.7 lakh crore package, largely aimed at providing safety, not for those who have been worst affected by the COVID-19 lockdown, that is organized sector workers, especially daily wagers. Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana and Atmanirbhar, that is self-sufficient package, were announced for the nation as a comprehensive economic relief package. Policymakers need to be prepared to scale up the response as the events unfold to minimize the impact of the shock and pave the way for sustained recovery. This is followed by some reference in support of my paper. That's it. I once again thanks on behalf of Dr. Nandini Banerjee and myself to the organizing committee. Thanks and thank you, Dr. Udayan Mandal sir. That is for from my end. Thanks once again for listening me so carefully. Sincerely, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Presented a paper on community study. Waiting for us. Any question, please box and we discuss. All on and Professor for presenting. Please.
Babli, please start.
Yes, sir. I am sharing my screen.
Okay. Yeah.
Respected chairperson and respected sir, madam, and present all audience, good noon. My topic is the teacher stress and emotional intelligence. I am Babli Sarkar, assistant professor, Kalyani Mahavidyalaya. This is a joint paper with my guide, Dr. Bijan Sarkar, professor, Department of Education, University of Kalyani. This is my introduction. Mental health indicates a state of well-being in emotional, psychological, and social aspect. It can help some man to cope with the normal stress of life and also keep mentally stable. There are causal relationship between mental health and emotional intelligence. It is said that emotionally stable person can easily manage or control his or her stress. All educational institutions are closed due to the present lockdown situation from 16th March 2020.
The sudden change of circumstances has created an unfavorable condition in the mental health of all human beings and increases mental stress, especially for teachers. They are working from home and their mental health is getting worse day by day. In such a situation, researchers have decided to doing this study. This is objectives. The researchers have selected 2 objectives for this study. The first objective is to find out the nature of mental stress of teachers from different strata, like different level, university, college and school, and gender, female and male. The second objective is to suggest some strategies of stress management with the help of emotional intelligence. According to the research objectives, some research questions are: first question, what are the nature of mental stress of teachers? Second one, are there any significant findings with respect to some selected items? And the last one, which strategies are helpful for stress management with the help of emotional intelligence? Methodology. Present study is a descriptive study and qualitative method is used for this study. Variable. Present study has done with one main variable, mental stress of teachers. There are 2 attribute variables like gender and a different level of institution. Sample. Purposive sampling method are used for this study. Researchers have selected total 151 sample from different level of institution. Tools. For this paper, researchers have developed one questionnaire consisting of 20 items. Data analysis. According to first research objectives, first one is nature of mental stress according to gender. Following table and pie chart shows the distribution of data. Here male 45% and female shows 55%. It can be said from the above graph, the nature of mental stress of female teachers are more unstable than male teachers. Data analysis according to the second research objectives, nature of mental stress according to different institutions. Following table and pie chart shows the distribution of data. University shows 45%, college shows 30%, and school shows 25%. It can be said from the above graph, the nature of mental stress of school teachers are more unstable than college and university teachers. Data analysis according to the questionnaire. Question item 1. Unable to concentrate in teaching at online mode. Following table and pie chart shows the following data. It can be said from the above graph, the percentage of teachers having stable concentration are very low. Second item, feeling anxiety for lockdown condition due to coronavirus. Here are the data. Always shows 49.7%, often shows 43.3%, and never shows 7%. It can be said from the above data that teachers are having anxiety are very high. Item number 3, feeling depression for future thinking. Following table and pie chart shows the distribution of data. It can be said that the percentage of teachers having depression are very high, is 47.6%. Item number 4, unusual tension interrupt daily work. Here is the data. Always shows 47.9%, often shows 44.6%, and never shows 7.4%. It can be said from the above graph, the percentage of teachers having unusual tension are moderate. Item number 5, unhappy for changing lifestyle at this lockdown period. Following table and pie chart shows the distribution of data. It can be said from the above graph that most of the teachers are facing problem regarding changing lifestyle of their normal situation. Item number 6, getting angry at very little. Following table and pie chart shows the distribution of data. Here always shows 51.7%, often shows 36.4%, and never shows 11.9%. It can be said from the above graph that the percentage of teachers having anger very low. Item number 7, helping feeling lack of attention. Here always shows 60.3%, often shows 23.8%, and never shows 15.9%. It can be said from the above graph that the teachers' lack of attention are very high. Item number 8, feeling sick very often. Following table and pie chart shows the distribution of data. It can be said from the above graph the percentage of sickness failing moderate. Item number 9, suffering from conflict. Here always shows 12.8%, often shows 56.4%, and never shows 30.9%. It can be said from the above graph the percentage of teachers having conflict moderate. Item number 10, unable to control daily problem. Following table and pie chart shows the distribution of data. Always shows 30.4%, often shows 63.5%, and never shows 6.1%. It can be said from the above graph that most of the teachers are facing problem to control daily life problem at the situation. This is the interpretation. This is some selective interpretation. First, according to the first objective, the mental stress of female teachers are higher than male teachers. The mental stress of school teachers are higher than the college teachers. The mental stress of college teachers are higher than the university teachers, and teachers are suffering from some specific unfavorable mental conditions like anxiety, depression, unusual tension, anger, lack of attention, sickness, etc. According to research question item, some selected interpretation are maximum teachers are feeling anxiety due to coronavirus. Maximum teachers are feeling depression for their future. Most of the teachers are suffering from unusual tension which interrupted their teaching. Most of the teachers are facing problem due to lack of attention, and most of the teachers suffering from sickness. Some common strategy, according to Ryan A. Meek, some strategies are use reforming, improve planning, learn relaxation, affirm values, develop a forgiving style, practice mindfulness, use positive self-affirmation. This is some selected reference, and thank you all.
Thank you, Chandni. Thank you, Babli Sarkar. You have presented a very good jointly paper with Bijon sir. Teacher stress and emotional intelligence. It's a very significant one for the pandemic situation. Thanks a lot, Babli Sarkar. There is no question left on the chat box, so I move on to next participant, Dr. Bhavesh Pramanik. Please present your paper.
Yes, sir. Please share my PPT.
Okay.
I have sent it.
Okay. Share your PPT.
Yes, sir. Do you find it, sir?
No, I'm not finding any screen.
Sir, today morning I am also talked with Chandni madam. Madam, confirm me.
If there is problem, you please read out your paper.
Okay, okay. Yes, madam.
Sorry, we thought that you will present it.
Okay, madam. I am presenting without PPT.
We'll just go on for orally. Okay.
Okay, madam. So I have to at first I have to congratulate all of my paper presenter and respected our chairperson, and I am happy enough. All of the members, most of the members are from Kollani. I am also a product of Kollani. So noticing the many friends from Kollani, I am feeling that I am in Kollani. So thank you for giving me such feeling. It is an international webinar on reducing and educating emotional intelligence in pandemic, organized by Department of Education, Bankura University. The name of my paper is Psychological Impact of COVID-19 lockdown and Indian perspectives. It is find that our first speaker, Mr. Shubham Ghosh, has elaborately, detailedly described the impact of lockdown from 2019 March. I am the matter of me. I am only want to show that particular 21 days, how feels of anxiety, fear, and stress. So at first I am expressing some objectives and then hypothesis. There are 8 hypotheses. Then the material. It is a survey from 18th May to 15th June. My sample is 360 and the stats software is IBM SPSS. The approach of my study is very descriptive. So I want to go to my data. So when 100 children is concerned, so my mean score of anxiety is 49.28. Median is 500. SD is 8.21 and QD is 7.51. When stage is concerned, it is 17.72, 16.50, 3.86 and QD is 2.89. When depressive symptoms are concerned, the mean score is 33.37, the median score is 3300, SD is 4.96 and the QD is 3.99. In this way, in my second table, I am showing the descriptive statistics of direction of response for urban male student. The number is 80. We are finding more or less same data. In the next cases, table number 3, I am expressing the data for rural female student suffering from anxiety, fear, and depressive mentality. Now I am showing urban female student. After that, urban male student. After that, total male student, that is 180. Then the mean, median, SD and QD are 50.27, 51.00, 8.15 and 7.56. When fear is concerned, it is 19.24, 18.98, 4.51 and 4.35. And when depressive behavior is concerned, it is 30.49, 31.65, 5.35 and 5.34. Then when DF anti-test is concerned, we find 2 stress and depressive behavior as a significant at 0.05 level. Next, rural male and female student are significant in 1 level. Then table number 9, significant in 2 level. Now I want to show some delimitation of my survey because it is completely online. There is no scope to face-to-face contact, face-to-face interview in this pandemic situation. The sample size is not very large. When the questionnaire is in English, there are some problem to the students of the rural area to recognize it and to answer it properly. And I want to take a decision to showing Haldia the Indian perspectives. It's a খুবই কঠিন কাজ, but I am trying to show Haldia about a part of India. So in my conclusion, I show that the study is able to show the close association between lockdown and anxiety, stress, and various types of depressive symptoms. So finding needs further research to identify high risks of distress mental health. But we have to show that women are more anxious than the male counterpart. Women are more fearful than the male counterpart. Women are more depressive, showing more depressive symptoms when coronavirus or anything is concerned. Thank you. Thank you to all of you. This is my paper.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bhavesh Pramani. You have presented.
আমি তো কিছু শুনতেই পাচ্ছি না।
It is very noise problem. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
The
madam.
paper on psychological impact of COVID-19 lockdown Indian perspective. It's a very relevant paper at the present situation because we are going through a very critical period. So your paper is very relevant. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bhavesh Pramani. Move on to our next paper presenter, Sonali Negal and Professor Kartik Chandra Pramani. Sonali, are you?
Yes, I am
Sonali,
here.
are you on?
Yes. Am I audible, sir? Am I audible,
Sonali?
sir? Yes, I am here.
Okay.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible.
You are,
Am I
you are
audible?
audible. Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Okay.
Huh, please.
Sir, I want to share my PPT.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay.
Okay, share
I
your
want to
PPT,
share my
please.
PPT. Okay.
Yes, carry on.
Okay. Good afternoon and thank you all organizer and respected chairperson sir for giving me this opportunity to present my paper. It is a joint paper. Sir, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can
Hello,
see your
can
screen. Yes, I
Okay,
can
okay,
see. I
thank
can
you,
see your
sir.
screen.
Okay. Sir, it's called Bankura University and my supervisor is Professor Kartik Chandra Pramani. Today my topic is trace as predictor of educational aspiration of higher secondary school students during the pandemic era. First of all, introductory part. In today's competitive world, everyone wants to be successful in their life. So, examination stress and anxiety are pervasive problems in modern society. Actually, trace as the achievement of effect is now seen as possible predictor that affects a person's academic performance and also affects their level of educational aspiration. In these reasons, educational aspiration relating to the early presentation of their own academic abilities and the highest level of education of the individual expected to achievement. Next, objectives. There are so many objectives, but now we focus only main objectives. First of all, to find out the difference between trace and educational aspiration of higher secondary, rural and urban school students. Next, to find out the difference between trace and educational aspiration of higher secondary boys and girls school students. Next, to find out the difference between trace and educational aspiration of higher secondary science and arts school student. Then we find out main hypothesis in my study. First of all, there is no significant difference between trace and educational aspiration of higher secondary rural and urban school students. Next, there is no significant difference between trace and educational aspiration of higher secondary boys and girls school students. Last of all, there is no significant difference between Trace and Educational Aspiration of Higher Secondary Science and Arts School Students. Methodology. Here we use basic method by link in Google Form. Samples. Here we used purposive sample of 200 students of class 12, 100 boys and 100 girls from Chopra and Hooghly, different schools of rural and urban areas. Next, statistical technique. Here we use t-test for analysis the data, but time is very scheduled, so I cannot see the t-test table in my presentation. So I am going to the last part of my paper. Findings. First of all, there is no significant difference between trace and educational aspiration of higher secondary, rural and urban school students. Next, there is no significant difference between trace and educational aspiration of secondary boys and girls school students. There is no significant difference between science and arts students. Here we used variables, trace as a dependent variable and educational aspiration as independent variable. So we can set the source and symptoms of stress as well as the adverse effects of stress on higher secondary students, which is an integral phenomenon in all aspects of human life. Stress may be negative or positive indicator for a person. Depending upon the strength and persistence of the stress, which always leads to increase or decrease of aspiration of learners teacher. Thank you all organizer and respected chairperson, sir.
Thank you, Sonali Nagel, for presenting your paper on stress as predictor of educational aspiration of higher secondary school students during the pandemic era. It's a very, very significant paper for the present situation. Thanks again, Sonali Nagel. Our last paper presenter, Sukanya Maiti. Sukanya, are you online?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please present your paper.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. All my fellow speakers as well as professors for conducting such an educational session. So my paper, Gender at Work During COVID-19, Alienation of the All-Women ASHA Workers from the Emotional Labor. So my paper basically deals with Marxist theory of alienation and Hochschild's theory of emotional labor, although I don't know how difficult it will be to deal with both Karl Marx and Henri Roussel Hochschild within 6 to 8 minutes. So I'll just give a brief introduction to the paper. The outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic exposed the high-handedness of the Indian government and the effects of capitalist consumerism. The accredited social health activists, or the ASHA, who are also known as the all-women emotional labor bandwagon, who majorly account for the invisible economies of care, have been acting as the frontline warriors in India's fight against the deadly virus. For long, they have been protesting, but the system has reached on the commodification of their compassion in the care in more places. The lack of accountability and no provision of necessary protective equipment and remuneration in exchange for the emotional labor has resulted in emotive dissonance and emotional deadness, turning them into actors or as bodies, like fetishized, disabled bodies without any capability to act over. The estrangement from the self and alienation from the product of emotion through exacerbated labor indeterminacy have consigned them the role of mere bodies with successful transmutation of feelings in a fetishized and disabled state. This paper focuses on the lack of job autonomy and social support in the ethics of care provided by the underpaid, unrecognized women workers. Who are these ASHA workers? In 2005, the government of India's Ministry of Health and Family Welfare launched a community health program as part of National Rural Health Mission, named as Accredited Social Health Activists, or ASHAs, that would employ young and middle-aged, that is 25 to 45 years of age, married, widowed or divorced women with a minimum education of up to 8th grade, and train them to act as primary healthcare workers in the remotest areas of the country. As of 2013, the data is really old because no proper data for no proper contemporary or present data is available due to the complete lack of the government's interference. So as of 2013, the number of ASHA workers rounded off to as many as 9 lakhs, excluding data from the states of Goa, Himachal Pradesh, Chandigarh, and Puducherry. The responsibilities range from encouraging rural women to give birth in hospitals instead of at homes, educating local people on health-related information, treating basic illness and injury with first aid, and working on improving the rural sanitation system, all of which require extreme perseverance and patience, virtues, and emotions that are considered to be embedded in women and not to be found in men, hence the all-women ASHA workers. What is emotional labor? So early Russell Hochschild, who is also one of the prominent sociologists in the field of emotion, emphasized on the commodification of feelings of women and analysis of the same. She coined the term emotional labor. She says, I use the term emotional labor to mean the management of feeling to create a publicly observable facial and bodily display. Emotional labor is sold for a wage and therefore has exchange value. She studied a group of flight attendants in 1983 while coming up or coining the term emotional labor. Even in the Indian context, a lot of studies pertaining to emotional labor have been conducted, but it has generally been restricted to the household workers or just the housewives or even the flight attendants. But we can easily categorize the ASHA workers as such too. She claimed that jobs calling for emotional labor are characterized by 3 features, namely face-to-face and voice-to-voice conversation, production of or triggering an emotional state of a person by the worker with whom they are interacting, and the freedom of the employer to exercise control over the emotional activities of the employees. It is mostly associated with positive emotions, ethics of care and compassion. Most of these jobs require women employees, as I have already stated earlier, and reflects the commodification of the emotional intelligence. Emotional labor and psychological strains of the ASHA workers. The explicit criterion of having experienced a marital relationship to qualify as an ASHA itself speaks volumes of the caring roles of women who are expected to look after and sacrifice for their male counterparts, and the measuring rod of the experience impacted by their feminine roles of being a mother and a wife, thereby giving up on their own identities. Transmutation of the emotional world, or how they express their emotions in the private sphere, that is when they are among their family members or with their friends, this commodification of emotional world or of private sphere feelings have resulted in their alienation from their own labor. Brooke claims that this commodification often alienates the frontline workers from the emotional product because of formal ownership and a timed display of their feelings disguised as responsibilities. The aftermath of such an ongoing process has reduced them into crippled actors. So I have conducted both qualitative analysis of both the literature and available data, as well as few interviews with an ASHA worker and some trade unionists, because such emotions are embedded in human experiences and cannot be solely determined by formally set data. So while talking to an ASHA worker, Kamlesh Hindustani from Haryana, I have come to know that what their duties basically include. So ASHAs have been as active as healthcare professionals, that is doctors and nurses in the hospitals, as frontline warriors. 1 million ASHAs are working as contract tracers, door-to-door, conducting door-to-door screenings. In fact, in Andhra Pradesh, the ASHAs are required to screen the migrants from other states in order to identify the COVID positive patients. The data collected by the ASHA workers are actually the data that are televised and disseminated, and we are informed of it. In some parts, of India, like in Haryana or even in Andhra Pradesh, in Bihar, ASHAs are expected to visit the quarantine centers where the patients are kept without any protective gear like PPE kits, masks, gloves, and so on.
Sukarna Maiti, sorry to interrupt. Please conclude your paper 1 or 2 minutes.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So the challenges that they face are quite a lot, starting from the lack of job autonomy to feedbacks in the form of monetary benefits. They're deprived of the care that they provide. This is where the concept of Giorgio Agamben's bare life comes into play, whereby these bodies are devoid of any political rights. Ronobe Sharma, the prominent political analyst, defines it as a phase of capitalistic development and a process to be stemming from a neo-Malthusian and social Darwinism's concept of counting productive labor and letting the unproductive one die, thereby trading affordable debts, which further adds on to the crisis. Social exclusion, stimulating violence. So many of these ASHA workers come from historically marginalized communities like STs, HCs, and OBCs. So in Andhra Pradesh, a group of upper caste men abused a group of Dalit Ashas and denied any form of communication with them. Many have demolished. Many of the houses have been demolished and burned down as well. So my policy recommendations for it: in order to augment the emotional intelligence, one needs to look carefully at the policies too. So political alternative to capitalism is needed. Health services, especially mental health services, must be made free for these sections. Mental health professionals must engage in a discourse on emotional labor and the women workers' position. Repeated amendments and failure to implement the existing labor laws must be registered. The trade unions must be given legal importance, and their resistance must be heralded instead of being suppressed by labeling them as anti-nationals, urban Nakshals, and Maoists. The all-women corona warriors need to be formally recognized as government healthcare workers so that they are eligible for social support benefits. Cash transfer programs need to be introduced. Introduction of softwares and applications like Asha Soft must be prohibited because the gender digital divide is already a soaring problem in India. The government must focus on developing infrastructures in rural areas instead of working on the development of the already developed towns and cities. Privatization of health service often increases alienation that needs to be opposed by mental health campaigns. Hence, the emotional labor of the ASHA workers need to have a monetary value. I think if we follow this in a long way, it will take us and result in brief policy implementation too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sukarna Maiti, for presenting your paper on the topic Gender at Work During COVID-19, Alienation of All Women ASHA Workers from Their Emotional Labor. We have successfully completed 5 of our paper presented today. There is a segment of paper presentation tomorrow. Okay, I conclude technical session of paper presenting here. I hand over the microphone to Chandni Sarkar. Over to you, Chandni.
Thank you, sir. So the technical session 2, that's paper presentation session, is over now. And I want to congratulate each and every paper presenters for their excellent papers. Really, it's very relevant with this present state that we are experiencing right now. Thank you all. And now may I ask Mr. Udayan Mondol, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, Bankura University, to give the vote of thanks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Chandni Sarkar. We have successfully completed our first day webinar of today's international webinar organized on the topic of renegotiating and educating educational intelligence in pandemic. Today's program, we have missed out our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, due to some unavoidable circumstances, but we will be hoping tomorrow we will have him among us. In our today's program, we have our respected Registrar Sir, Additional Charge Dr. Subir Kumar Roy. I heartily congratulate him. I congratulate our departmental head, Dr. Kartik Chandra Pramanik, and we have among us our keynote speaker and my respected sir, Professor Dulal Mukhopadhyay. I heartily congratulate and show my respect to him. Today we have our two eminent speakers. One is from Spain, namely Dr. M. Ping, University of Girona. He has pointed out a topic on education, emotional education in post-COVID-19 world, keys and challenges. It's a very significant and relevant paper he has talked on. I congratulate him from my deepest part, and I congratulate my thanks to Professor Goramma IP, Department of Education, Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar, and she has pointed out and highlighted a topic on educating self for emotional well-being. It's a very relevant and significant point she has shown today's webinar. I deeply convey my thanks to Dr. Goramma IP. Of course, there we have our respected Professor Sir Debobroto Debnath, and he has chaired two eminent persons session. I deeply congratulate and heartily provide thanks to Dr. Debobroto Debnath, Department of Education, Gourbanga University, Malda. I must thanks all the paper presenters today and will be presenting tomorrow, and all the participants who are patiently hearing our international webinar. And of course, I must congratulate and convey my thanks to departmental faculties and colleagues of our university and other universities. And I must remember, I must show one point that in our tomorrow's program, there we have two speakers. One is from our Department of Education, University of Kolani, Dr. Bijon Sarkar sir, and another person is Professor Nilanjana Sharnal, retired professor, head Department of Psychology, University of Calcutta. Thanks to all, and I hand over to the microphone to Chandni Sarkar.
Thank you, sir, and thank you all. We have reached at the end of this the first day of our international webinar. So for the time being, I will take your leave, and we will meet tomorrow again at 11 a.m. in the morning with some wonderful speakers. So thank you. And I'm just ending the webinar right now. Thank you.